Today, we're diving into the wildest, most unexpected Michael Jackson stories ever told by the people who were actually there. From chance meetings in utility closets to phone calls that nobody believed were real, these are the moments that prove Michael Jackson was unlike anyone else who has ever walked this earth. Let's start with Will Smith, who spent his entire career hoping for just one chance to meet his idol. Picture this: BET Awards, celebrities everywhere, and Will spots Michael Jackson across the room. The crowd is too thick. The moment seems impossible.
I wanted to meet him my whole life. And I saw him like from across the room, but he was just too far. And I was like, God, I just couldn't get to him in the crowd. And I'm like, the day is going by and I'm like, yo, I'm about to go this whole award show and I'm not gonna meet my idol.
Will was determined. This wasn't going to be another missed opportunity. Then suddenly he sees a path opening up through the crowd. His moment has finally arrived. He's about to meet Mike.
And then all of a sudden you see the crowd start to go into a little bit of a frenzy. And my security comes over and they grab me like,
we gotta move, we gotta move.
And I'm like, no, I gotta meet Mike. They were like,
Sir, we gotta move now.
I was like, what happened? What happened?
He said, Suge Knight happened.
Now, for those who don't remember, Suge Knight was one of the most intimidating figures in the music industry. When Sugi started causing chaos, everyone scattered. Security grabbed Will and started running him through the venue, desperate to get him to safety.
I'm looking, I can't see him. People are scurrying around down this hall and go around. I have no idea where we are. And he opens this door and shoves me into like this dirty utility closet. Just like mops and interrogation light bulbs swinging at the top.
So there's Will Smith, one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, hiding in a janitor's closet while chaos erupts outside. He's got his head pressed against the door, listening to people running and screaming. And then, in the midst of all this madness, something completely unexpected happens.
And then all of a sudden, it starts to get quiet. And I'm like, yo. And I hear, hey. I'm like, oh, and I turn around and Michael Jackson is behind me in the closet. I was like, oh, Mike?
Of all the places in the world, of all the ways this meeting could have happened, Will Smith and Michael Jackson ended up hiding together in a utility closet. And what did these two icons talk about while waiting out the Suge Knight situation? Comics. Michael wanted to talk about comic books.
So you like comic books? Yeah. I love comics, Mike. I love comics. You know, I don't know nothing about no comic books, but I'm here with Michael Jackson. I ain't gonna tell him that.
Will was just making things up on the spot, too starstruck to admit he didn't actually know anything about comics. He had Michael Jackson all to himself, a captive audience in a closet, and he spent the whole time bluffing about Fantastic Four. The questions he could have asked haunted him.
I'm like, all the questions I could have asked, everything I could have said. What's the glove made out of? What's Tito like? Can you moonwalk forward? Is Annie okay? All that stuff. Blew it.
Then just like that, it was over. Security burst through the door and practically shoved Will into the mop bucket to get Michael out safely.
Door, and I'm laying back in the mops, and then Mike looks and he turns and he makes eye contact with me. He says, bye, Will, see you around. And he goes off.
That was it. One conversation about comic books in a dirty closet, and then Michael Jackson disappeared into the night. But at least Will can thank Suge Knight for making it happen. Now, if you think that story captures Michael's unpredictable nature, wait until you hear what Pharrell Williams experienced. Because Michael Jackson wasn't just eccentric, he was the undisputed king of catching people completely off guard. Pharrell met Michael twice, and both meetings left him questioning reality. The first time he walked into Michael's trailer, he immediately noticed something unusual about the setup.
We get into the trailer. It's a 2-story trailer. The trailer has stairs, okay?
The trailer has stairs.
The trailer has stairs. The assistant comes in like, you guys can have a seat, so we sit down.
A 2-story trailer with stairs. Already, this was unlike anything Pharrell had ever seen. But Michael was just getting started. He walked in, tall and commanding, and then things got interesting.
He comes in, he's tall, standing there, 2 beautiful women walk in. He kisses one, like full on. It's a moment. It ain't like no peck, it's like a real situation.
Black girl, white girl.
They look Brazilian. So I'm like, wow, he's a G. He just is the king of catching you off guard.
This was his way of throwing everyone off balance before any business even began. The man understood the power of spectacle better than anyone alive, but the truly legendary Michael Jackson moment came later, when Pharrell was in the studio working with Justin Timberlake. The phone rang, and what happened next became one of the most unbelievable phone calls in music history.
So we're in the studio with Justin, and they were like, listen, you got a phone call on line 1. I'm like, yeah, what is it? That's Michael Jackson. I'm like, man, get out of here. Right? Call back, line 1. I'm like, all right, cool. Who is this? Michael Jackson. And I'm thinking like, you know, it's one of my friends calling from Virginia trying to be funny.
Pharrell was convinced this was a prank. His friends from Virginia were always messing with him. There was no way Michael Jackson was actually on the phone, so he answered with total skepticism.
They were like, listen, please pick up the phone, it's Michael Jackson. I'm like, man, hello. And I'm thinking it's my friend. And I heard someone eating popcorn in my ear, and that's how I knew it was him. He's just the king. He's just the king of trolling. He's the king, like I think he invented it.
The man called just to mess with people, eating popcorn into the phone like he had nothing better to do. And what did Michael want? Nothing really, just to say hi and keep everyone guessing.
So he's like, hey, he's like, how are you? What are you doing? Okay. You working with Justin? Oh, that's really nice. That's great. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, you guys have a great session. Tell Justin I said hello. Hangs up. And Justin was like, who is that, Michael? I'm like, yeah. I was like, how did you know? He's like, yeah, man, he does that.
He does that. Michael Jackson would just call random studios, chat for a minute, and hang up. Justin Timberlake wasn't even surprised. This was simply what it meant to exist in Michael Jackson's orbit. Speaking of unexpected phone calls, Akon has his own story about Michael reaching out. When the king of pop wanted to work with someone, he found a way. Peter Lopez, a mutual friend, called Akon with what seemed like impossible news.
So he reached out to Peter, and then Peter called me and was like, you know, Mike wants to work with you for the re-release. And I was like, nah, get out of here. He said, no, I'm serious. But see, Peter was a funny guy. He would make pranks and jokes too all the time. So back in my mind, I'm like, oh, he's probably I'm getting punked, I can feel it.
But Akon decided to play along, waiting for the callback that was supposed to come.
He said, yeah, stay by your phone, I'm gonna call you back in 15 minutes with him on the line. And of course, I waited and the call actually came. That's when I then realized, okay, this is really a prank, because he called me in exactly 15 minutes. And when he called me, you know, he's like, yo, you know, Akon, I got MJ on the other line. MJ, this is Akon. So MJ says hi, you know, with his soft voice. Hey, how are you? And I was like, yo, Peter, stop playing, man. And I hung up the phone.
Akon hung up on Michael Jackson. Let that sink in. The king of pop called, said hello in that unmistakable soft voice, and Akon literally hung up because he was convinced it couldn't be real. That's the level of disbelief Michael Jackson inspired in people. But when Akon finally realized it was real and got into the studio with Michael, he witnessed something remarkable about the way the legend worked.
And it was crazy because, you know, watching MJ work and being a part of that creation of actually giving him pointers was just the alienest thing ever, you know? I never thought I'd be in the producer's seat in front of a mixing board telling Mike to sing the note like this. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. And then if it was something that he wanted to do, he would ask politely, oh, can I try this?
The biggest pop star in history, asking permission to try something in the studio. That humility in creative spaces stood out to everyone who worked with him. But don't mistake that humility for anything less than obsessive perfectionism.
But the one thing I did realize also too is he was a perfectionist. Like he never settled with one take or one ad lib or one idea. He would do thousands of those ideas, and then we had to shuffle through them and find the best one. And if we didn't find it, he'll go and do another 1,000.
Michael would keep going until something felt right, and that word, felt, was everything to him.
The moment he felt it, because it was about a feeling, and that was the one thing we both had in common. If it felt right, then it was right. Whether it sounded right or not, if it felt right, we wouldn't touch it.
Music for Michael wasn't about technical perfection. It was about capturing a feeling. If it felt right, nothing else mattered. Now let's talk about Snoop Dogg, because when you put Michael Jackson and Snoop in the same building, things are bound to get interesting. They performed at the same event once, and the organizers made one critical mistake. They put their dressing rooms right next to each other.
Michael Jackson performed, Snoop Dogg performed, but where he messed up, he put Michael Jackson dressing room right next to Snoop Dogg's. So Snoop Dogg is there doing this.
I think I know where this is going.
You know exactly where this is going. Snoop was doing what Snoop does, and someone had to break the news about who was next door.
They like, you know Michael Jackson dressing room next door? I'm like, no, it ain't. They like, yeah, it is. So I'm like, hold on. Open the door.
Oh, wow, you blew a bunch in, yeah.
He's right there looking at me.
Oh, boy. He didn't like it.
He said, Snoop, don't do that.
Of all the things Michael Jackson could have said, he simply told Snoop not to do that. Classic Michael, firm but polite, even when smoke was literally wafting into his dressing room. Steve Harvey has perhaps the most extensive Michael Jackson story of anyone. It started with a phone call when Michael was going through one of the most difficult periods of his life and wanted something simple. He wanted to go to church.
One day, Ramon called me and said, Steve, Michael want to talk to you. I said, what's up, Mike? He said, man, I need to go to church. I just want to go to church. And I said, well, he said, well, can you take me to church? I said, yeah, man. I take you to church because Mike thought they was gonna convict him.
Michael was scared. He was facing serious accusations and genuinely believed his life might be over. All he wanted was to pray, to find some peace in a house of worship. Steve agreed to help make it happen. But when Steve arrived at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel to pick Michael up, he discovered something completely unexpected about how the King of Pop was living.
So Mike had took the entire floor of the Beverly Wilshire Hotel and gutted it and just turned it into his own place. So I came up there and Mike met me at the door on a moped. Because he was crazy, man. That's it. He had another one, but he said, come on, let's go down to the apartment.
Michael Jackson, riding a moped through his hotel apartment, greeted visitors at the door like he was delivering pizza. This was his normal. When it was time to leave for church, Steve told Michael they needed to hurry. But Michael had a wardrobe situation that nobody could have anticipated.
First, Mike goes to get dressed, and he comes out dressed, and I went, Mike, what you got on? So, where you going, man? What is this you wearing? What's the matter? This is my suit. I said, what you dressed like Captain Crunch for? Where's you going with all these bars on your shoulders? That's not military. We're going to church, man.
Captain Crunch. That's what Steve thought Michael looked like. Military epaulettes, stripes on his pants, the whole elaborate ensemble. Michael was confused because this jacket cost $20,000. Price tag and church appropriate are two very different things. Despite the outfit, they headed to the church. Steve had called ahead and asked the pastor to keep it quiet. Michael agreed to tell no one.
So we get down off the 10 and we turn on Crenshaw, and it's cars from the 10 all the way down Crenshaw, all up Jefferson Avenue. People all on the side where, Michael, I'm going, what the hell? I said, Mike, I thought I told you, ain't tell nobody. I never opened my mouth. Well, the preacher told somebody Michael was coming, and the word got out.
Preacher couldn't help himself, and the word spread like wildfire. People came from everywhere to witness Michael Jackson walking into a church.
Let me tell you something, man. It was people from Belgium, Argentina, Amsterdam, signs from everywhere. People from all over the world flew in to see this guy go to church.
International fans on a regular Sunday just to watch Michael Jackson attend church service. The power this man held over the world was absolutely unreal. Once inside, Michael finally got what he came for. The choir started singing, and the King of Pop became just another person in the pew, experiencing the music.
And boy, this choir came out and they was jamming. And Mike's hair was in his eyes, and Mike was just sitting there just rocking, man. He was getting it, man. He said, this is great, man. This is great. Oh my God. What are they doing? Phil, he knew every instrument. Man, they went from a D to an E flat. This is amazing. What? You heard that? Dog, he was in there, man.
Even in church, Michael couldn't turn off his musical genius. He was clocking every key change, every instrumental shift, completely absorbed in the craft of the choir. This was a man who lived and breathed music every moment of his life. After the service, Steve had to face the press while Michael stayed inside. Things got tense when reporters started asking inappropriate questions.
Why are they allowing children in the basement with Michael? I said, hold on, man. Where you going with this here? I said, I say, press conference over. So I go in the back. So we talk with the kids a long time.
Steve shut it down immediately. He wasn't going to let anyone twist this peaceful church visit into something ugly. When they finally tried to leave, Michael made a decision that nearly caused a riot.
Their hand. I said, Mike, you can't shake these people's hand, dog. You know where we at? We're Crenshaw. This ain't what we finna do. So Mike's sitting over there and this roll the window down. He over there by himself. He rolled the window down. Man, these people was reaching in, man, tearing his clothes off. They're pulling me. I said, roll your window up.
Michael just wanted to connect with his fans, but the moment that window came down, people lost their minds. Hands were reaching in, grabbing at his clothes, and complete chaos erupted. Steve was screaming for him to close the window, but the damage was done.
Shut up all that whining and Mike, and roll your window up. You're gonna crush their hand. Man, their hand. But I got that window up, and this dude's hand was caught in the window. He said, and so now the car picking up speed and the dude is running with his hand crushed in the window.
Real thriller.
So Mike said, Steve, stop the car. He's gonna get hurt.
A fan was literally running alongside the car with his hand caught in the window. Michael wanted to stop. Steve knew stopping would get them all hurt. This was the reality of being Michael Jackson. You couldn't even go to church without triggering absolute pandemonium. The trip ended with Michael stepping in gum, and the exchange that followed perfectly captured their dynamic.
And Mike just stepped in some gum somewhere. So we on the elevator, and he raised his foot up and his gum down from his foot down to the floor. He said, Steve, there's gum on my shoe. I said, and what the I'm supposed to do? I said, Mike, I don't get gum off nobody's shoe, man. But it's on my shoe. Now security, they up there laughing their ass off, cause nobody talked to Mike like that. But it's gum on my shoe. What the I'm supposed to do? So, man, rub that off.
Nobody talked to Michael Jackson like Steve Harvey did, and honestly, Michael probably needed that. He needed people who would treat him like a regular person, even when there was gum on a $20,000 shoe. Speaking of that famous sequined glove, Alfonso Ribeiro has a story that nobody has ever heard. Before Fresh Prince, before Carlton became a cultural icon, Alfonso performed with Michael Jackson at Lincoln Center, and right before they went on stage, something happened in the bathroom that would make anyone cringe.
Michael Jackson. And the story that I tell, which is always very funny, is right before he walked out on stage.
Yes.
He went to the bathroom and accidentally dropped his sequin glove in the toilet. Okay?
Come on.
No, true story. Dropped it in the toilet. He's freaking out.
Is it the only one?
It's the one.
The glove. The iconic, one-of-a-kind sequined glove in the toilet at Lincoln Center. Michael didn't travel with backup gloves. This was it, and panic set in immediately.
Wow, it's the glove, right? He's got one glove. He didn't come with multiple. He didn't have a suitcase, right, of gloves. He had the glove. He dropped it in the toilet. Like, he must have taken it off, put it on the sink or something, and it fell in the toilet. He's freaking out, and like, finally he realized, wait a minute, he reaches in, grabs his glove.
Michael Jackson reached into a toilet to retrieve his glove. When you're the king of pop and the show must go on, what choice do you have? But for everyone else in the room, a very uncomfortable reality was setting in.
And the rest of us are like, but he dropped the glove, and what you gonna do with the glove, bro? Right? And so we have to go out on stage, and he has a soaking wet sequin glove on.
From the toilet.
From the toilet.
Of Lincoln Center.
At Lincoln Center.
By the way,
Lincoln Center toilet water on the glove.
Lincoln Center toilet water, soaking into that sequined glove, and Michael wore it on stage anyway. The question that haunted everyone was whether he flushed first.
I mean, the question to me was whether he flushed it first.
That was my question.
Right? Did he flush and then pull? Or did he pull, then flush?
I think that's a huge difference.
There is a huge difference there.
A pull and flush is much better than a flush and pull.
No, you want to flush and pull. Get all the dirty water away.
The philosophical debate over toilet glove retrieval methodology. This is the kind of detail that makes these stories so incredible. We're not just talking about a legend. We're talking about a human being who made split-second decisions about contaminated accessories.
I don't know. All I'm thinking is this one sequin glove and it's in the freaking toilet.
Personally, I think he grabbed and flushed. That's what I think happened. And I think he went out on stage with a McNasty glove on, and the rest of us were trying to figure out what we were going to do, because I wasn't shaking that man's hand. Not that day.
Alfonso wasn't shaking hands with Michael Jackson that day. Can you blame him? That glove had been places. And yet Michael performed like nothing happened, because that's what legends do. These stories paint a picture of someone almost impossible to fully understand. He was a genius who noticed every key change in a church choir. He was a prankster who called studios just to eat popcorn into the phone. He was a perfectionist who would do 1,000 takes until something felt right. He was vulnerable enough to need church when he thought his life was over. He was wealthy beyond imagination, yet still reached into a toilet to save a glove because the show had to go on. The people who knew Michael, who spent time with him, who shared closets and phone calls and church services with him, all seem to agree on one thing: there was nobody else like him. Not before, not since, and probably never again. What these stories really reveal is the humanity beneath the legend. Michael Jackson laughed. He panicked about toilets. He rode mopeds through hotels. He called random studios to troll his friends. He wanted to go to church and pray when he was scared. The music will live forever. The moonwalk will be imitated until the end of time. But these stories, these human moments, might be the most valuable legacy of all, because they remind us that even the king of pop was, underneath everything else, just a person trying to navigate an extraordinary life. And maybe that's the craziest Michael Jackson story of all. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.